There we go. Yay, okay. Let's see, while we wait for people to hop on, I'm going to take care of something really quick. I'm demolding these covered Oreos that are also filled with caramel, because my mom is meeting an old friend today, and I made them some cool little marbly covered Oreos. Popping these out really quick. Let me know how your day is going in the chat while I wait for a few more people to possibly join. These are, by the way, the marble turned out pretty good. That's interesting. The chocolate kind of bloomed a little bit. When it gets like that little bit of discoloration, that's called blooming, I think. Chocolate bloom, something like that. And it's still edible. It just looks a little funny. Okay. Marbled caramel-filled chocolate-covered Oreos. Okay. And set that aside. Okie doke. So, get these out of the way. Okay. A little chocolate bit that got over here. So today we're making cookie pops, because that was definitely the highest requested one out of everything that I gave options for. We'll definitely be doing other ones like dessert popcorn, and also what else was there? Candy bars and something else I'm not coming to my mind, but yeah, we'll be doing other stuff like that too. I just wanted to make sure that today for sure is like a no bake thing, because it is way too hot. So let me know if you're where you are. It's like really hot right now. This week has been like all hundreds for us, so it has not been a fun week. I can't wait for the fall weather to kind of start kicking in. We're gonna start with chocolates. I like Ghirardelli, the dark chocolate one. We're gonna add some of that to a bowl. And with these, I typically don't measure it out. I just kind of go with the flow and then melt more as I need. Because if you saw the Oreos I just showed you and I talked about blooming, or the chocolate bloom, I don't know the phrase exactly, but basically what I find is that with candy melts, if you remelt them, sometimes it does that bloom thing. So I try to melt only when I need it first, and then I just keep adding to it as I go. So we're gonna pop this in the microwave, and then we'll get the rest of our stuff set up and start our cookie pops. Pop this in the microwave for, I like to go in small increments, probably like 30 seconds. Just to start, and then we're gonna just kind of stir and then kind of keep checking until everything's melted. I'll open up my Oreos here. Okay. Open, darn you. Okay. We've got our Oreos. We're doing probably like a dozen-ish, maybe, somewhere around there today. Okay. Oreos, gonna set inside. Okay, let's check on our chocolates. Well, kind kind of chocolate. Candy melts, the reason I like to use them is because they're just really, really easy. And I like the Ghirardelli ones because I find that they have a much better flavor than other brands that I've used. So that's why I like to use them for coating cookie pops and all that kind of stuff. And when I do like if you've seen my character Disney cookie pop stuff, I do a light coating of one of either dark chocolate or usually the white vanilla melting wafers from Ghirardelli, and then that'll be like a nice smooth base, and then I'll start decorating from there. Okay, it's definitely not melted enough, so we're gonna pop that back in the microwave. It has started to melt though. Sometimes I decrease the time and I'll go from 30 seconds to 20 seconds, then down to 15. If it looks like it's melting pretty nicely, you do not want to overcook your chocolates or candy melts in any way, because as soon as it burns, you can't use that. So, nice big piece of parchment. Make sure there's plenty of room to work. Check our chocolate again. I'm going to keep saying chocolate, but you know what I mean, candy melts. Okay. A good stir here, see how it's doing. Okay, so it's getting close. There's still a few little chunks here. So I'm going to pop that back in. Let's do 15 seconds, then check it again. There we go. Okay. So next, let's talk about the sticks. So I have these it's like really weird with the lighting. Let me grab one up so we can try and see it a little bit better. Okay. So this is our lollipop stick. And so you can either use these or you could use like a popsicle stick. Either of those work. Sometimes I like the popsicle sticks better because they're a little more flat, but both of them work perfectly fine. I just happened to grab these ones out today to use. So a few of them out here. Okay. And we're checking our candy melt chocolate again. Okay. Give it a good mix. Let me know how you're doing in the chats. Okay. All right, it's looking good. I'm not seeing any pieces as far as I can tell, so we are good to go. So I'm gonna aim this down so you can see a little bit better. This candy melt bag. Okay, so you should be able to see it better like that. You're doing peachy. Okay, so we have our, let's get the mess out of here. Okay, so we have our chocolates. See, it's nice and melted. And we've got our Oreos. I don't know how we'll do this. Okay, like this. So we're going to take one of our popsicle sticks, and then we are going to dip it just a little bit. Doesn't need a ton. Just dip it a little bit into the candy melts, just like that. When I do the white version, like the white melt version, people say that it looks like a Q-tip. Haven't been able to get out of my head since I heard that one, but and then I'm going to do this over the plate, not the chocolate, because sometimes if some crumbs come off, I don't necessarily want that in there, in the chocolate. So we're gonna poke in here. And for some reason, this box of cookies that I bought like to continually break, but we're gonna make it work. If that happens to you, I'll show you what you can do to make sure you don't have to go buy another box. Okay. So before we do our final little coating here, I can see that there's a crack along right here. I'm gonna brush just a little bit of candy melts, not too much. Whoop, see, it wants to split. This one in particular just wants to be a butt today. Okay, so there's a little bit of candy melts right there on the back. We're just gonna set that onto our parchment paper and kind of press it together to hold, or not touch it until it completely sets. Drop that off my hands. Yeah, this is one of those boxes from Costco with like the ridiculously big, there's this one right here. It's a Mondo size since I do a lot of Oreo stuff. And for some reason, there's been so many Oreos that love to keep breaking. It's really irritating, but I make it work. Like I said, we're just dipping. And this one, looking out for some cracks, cracked on both sides yet again. This box does not like me. Okay. Whoop, see? Okay, we're gonna add a little extra candy melts right there. We're gonna set this guy down. We're add a little extra candy melts inside to keep them together. And then we're gonna press everything and it should hold it together now. Like I said, usually it's a lot easier if your Oreos are not broken, but if they are, this is what I do to make sure I can still use them. Just like that. So it's all pressed together. We're gonna add a little bit of extra candy melts right to the top. Just like that, just to kind of make sure that everything is essentially glued together. Once this sets, it kind of acts like a nice glue. So we're gonna continue with our dipping. Again, you don't need too much. The reason that we're doing this is to make sure that when this sets, it'll keep the cookie pop on the stick. Shred that in there. Be kind, please don't break. Ah, that one is a little bit better. Still a broken cookie. Like I said, this box is like the bane of my existence right now if I try and make cookie pops, but we're gonna make it work. Paper towel for my fingers. Okay. So whilst I do this, how's everybody's day going? What's your favorite kind of Oreo? I'm kind of curious. I feel like mine depends on my mood usually, but I love a good mint Oreo. Or there is that limited edition one that I tried back in, I don't know, the spring that was like a latte caramel macchiato something. I don't know. It was a really good one. Okay. Continuing. Just like this. Oop. Well, you didn't want to cooperate at all, did you? And again, just pressing it so it kind of keeps its shape. This one is another double broken one. Good Lord. Classic Oreos are double stuffed. Double, yeah, those are always good. Yes, that special one. Yeah, it's hard to go wrong with the classic Oreo. Okay, so push you back together. Stay. Oh my goodness. This just so happens to be one of the packs with like all double broken ones today. Okay. Just like that. And a little bit more of our chocolate glue. There we go. Okay. Continuing until all of these are done. And then I have multiple design ideas that we're going to do today. I think I might have, I don't know, like 8 or 10 or something like that designs. Come on, Cookie, work with me. Oh my goodness. This one did not want to stay together at all. Set this one down. Cooperate, please. Come on, cookie. Sometimes you can talk to the cookies if they're not cooperating. Okay. A little bit more chocolate on that one just because it kept wanting to fall apart. Oh. Okay. Oh my gosh. Like as soon as one of them gets repaired or starts to get repaired, the other one just wants to crumble apart. Talk about yes. Oh my goodness. This package in particular, it has not been this bad, I promise. When I've been using the other packages in this box, it's just for some reason, this one is like every single one just does not want to work. Like I said, we're gonna make it work with our chocolate glue helping us along. This makes your fingers a little bit more messy at the get-go, but it's all good. A little bit more on there. Try to carefully push them in. And like I said, you don't have to use these lollipop sticks. You can use the popsicle sticks instead. Either way, they both work. The lollipop sticks are just sometimes a little bit harder to work with just because I think it is a little bit thicker than a popsicle stick, but again, I have used both of them and both of them work. Thank God, is that one cookie that actually stayed together on top. That's a miracle. Okay, almost done with our cookies. Oh my goodness. These cookies want to test me today. And our last cookie. Got a dozen cookies. See if we can come up with a dozen designs. That'd be kind of fun. Okay. Set this aside for just a sec. Okay, so basically from here we need to let the cookies set. And there's a little chocolate napkin here. So from here we just have to let the chocolate completely set so that we can actually pick up our cookies and dip them. So while that sets, let's look at our ideas. So okay, so I have, let's pop you up for a sec. I have a few ideas that we're going to be doing today. So there's going to be drizzle. There's a few different ways you could do a nice drizzle on your cookie. So we're going to be going over a few of those, like a nice simple one, only part of it or fully covered. Also, there's what I believe is called like a feather technique, where when the chocolate on the actual cookie is still kind of melty, it hasn't set yet. Once you actually dip them, you can do a drizzle and then like drag a stick through it and do this really cool pattern. Looks really complicated, but it's really, really easy. So we're gonna do that one too. Also, of course, we got some edible glitter. Amazon edible metallic gold glitter. It's worked so far from the couple times I've used it. I like it. So we're gonna be doing just a little bit of edible glitter, really easy, just brush it on. What else? Oh, we're also gonna be doing some numbers and letters. We could actually do that right now while we're waiting for these to set. So these cookies obviously are not that big, but use a mold like this to make little numbers and letters and be able to stick them on a cookie. So I think I'm going to, let's just go with plain white. So I have some white vanilla melting wafers. You can't see it very well because of the exposure, but they're in here. They're white vanilla melting wafers, and we're going to melt this down and pop it in here so that these can set while we work on actually doing our cookies once the cookies are set. So I'm gonna start melting this. Again, I start with about 30 seconds. And then we check it from there and see how we're doing. And so I'm today going to do a 1, 0, and a K because we're celebrating 10K on this channel. Thank you guys so much. That was like the most amazing thing to find last week when I checked my channel. It was like the most amazing thing ever, and I could not be here without you guys, and I just really appreciate it. So I'm going to do a 1, 0, and a K to celebrate 10K. So let's check our melting wafers. Definitely not done. But you definitely want to mix that in between each heating session, because if you don't, some spots are going to look like they are not melting yet, but in reality, if you cook it for too long, it's going to burn, and then you can't use the candy melts at all. It's really gross. I've done it. I've burned some candy melts before, so I can definitely say it's not a fun thing that you want to do at all. Okay, mix this up a little bit, and we'll pop in here for another, let's do 20 seconds. Again, that's pretty much the format that I usually follow. Like that, yeah, thank you. What was I gonna say? Yes, the format that I usually follow with melting stuff is like 30 seconds-ish, and then 20, and then 15, mixing in between every time, and then continually adding on a little bit of time if for some reason the candy melts are stubborn and don't want to melt. But these ones, I also like the Ghirardelli because they do melt pretty easily, and I have had a harder time at burning them compared to other candy melts that I've used. And that's actually looking pretty good. But I want to make sure they are totally melted. So I'm going to pop it in for like 10 more seconds. Especially when you're using a mold like these ones, it works a lot better if the melts are much more thin, a lot hotter, because it'll fill in the gaps and it won't leave little weird bubbles or anything like that. And your letters are going to look a lot better when you use hotter candy melts. Okay. So candy melts should be good to go. I'm going to aim you back down so you can see better. Right there. Okay. So we got our 1s right there, our 0s right there, our Ks right there. I'm just going to add a little bit of candy melts right by. I always like to make a couple just in case one of them messes up or breaks when I'm demolding it, just so you have a backup and you don't have to wait for the process again. like they're okay. Also, why not a couple hearts? Okay. Notification there. There we go. Okay. So before we let this set, we're gonna tap, tap, tap. We're trying to get the air bubbles out nice and gently so that our letters and numbers look as good as they can. Okay, not really seeing any air bubbles come up anymore. Let's tap this one, and then I'll show you how to remove the excess. Okay, that should be good. And okay, so we have an offset spatula. I like to use the little one. And we're going to, little air bubble came out of this one. Let's tap it a little bit more just to make sure. A little bit more over here. And again, you want them to be nice and warm so that also when you brush away the melts using the offset spatula, that if they're starting to set, it kind of gets like clumpy and gets really weird. So it's just much, much easier to do this when the candy melts are nice and warm. Okay, let's scrape our into our bowl here. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. It's okay if there's like a little bit of residual around it, kind of. It shouldn't really affect our letters, except for you. There you go. All right, let's see. There's our little letters. It fills in some of the other spots. That's perfectly fine. You can either save them or just remelt them for other stuff. So I'm going to, let's see, I'll pop these onto a sheet tray. Popping these onto a sheet tray. And we're going to stick these into the freezer so that they are as hard as possible when we want to demold them. Okay. So now that we've done that, we're going to check on our cookie pops. I can see that some of them are still not set. Other ones are starting to, but they're not quite there. About just like probably like a couple more minutes before these ones decide to finally melt. And okay, so besides that, we're also, pop it for a sec. Besides that, we're also going to be doing obviously some sprinkles. I have kind of a whole mix of sprinkles that I brought out with me. These ones are like a rainbow sugar. I really like these ones. I just have a few colors. These ones from Wilton are, what is it? Pearlized sugar. So I really like the sugar sprinkles because unlike some of the other sprinkles, I feel like they don't have as much of a weird taste to them. And also they provide like a crunch. So that's personally, I just like the sugar sprinkles a little bit better. But I like these ones because the pearlized, they're really, really pretty. And they kind of stand out a little bit better than, say, if I use these ones. These are just white sparkling sugar sprinkles. They stand out better when you actually put them on candy melt sometimes, depending on how you put them on. So I really like the pearlized ones just for decorating. I also have these really cool rose gold sprinkles. Kind of hard to tell in the light, but I found these ones at a Joann's that was closing near me. And I just really like that color. It's kind of cool. And then also, ooh, we're going to be experimenting with something new that I haven't tried today, but I had the idea. I'm quite curious to see if it'll turn out. This is my mom. Say hi. Hello.
Pretty amazing stuff, huh?
She was standing right there just watching me like. So we're going to be trying these stencils. I want to see what happens because I've done buttercream, like putting them down on parchment paper and then putting buttercream on top of them and letting cupcakes get a pattern. And I want to see what will happen when we do that with cookie pops. So I decided to grab out some stars, this kind of firework looking one. It's hard because these are a little bit bigger than a cookie pop, so it's only going to be part of it. So I wanted to make sure I found designs that kind of worked if you didn't see the full thing. So we're going to try those in a little bit.
Enjoy, everyone.
Yeah, no. Okay, cookie pops are coming off. So we can start coating them. There's a few that are still kind of finishing setting, but we can start on the ones that are good right now. And let's see if we need to remelt our chocolate. I'm just gonna go with our basic chocolate, I think for, let's see, do I do a different one? All right, let's do like half of them in chocolate and half of them in the white vanilla melting wafers. So this is still okay, but I know just by looking at it that it's gonna start to set pretty soon. So I'm going to melt this again for a little bit. Probably like 20 seconds or so, 15, 20 seconds. I decided 15 because I really don't want to I want to make sure that they do not burn. And then we're also, let's take our spoon away. Sometimes if I forget the spoon in the bowl, it's a little bit hard to get it out of the hardened melt. So, okay. All right, that looks pretty good. Nice and runny consistency. So I'm gonna pop you back down so you can check out the melts, dipping them in there. Okay, I think that, oh, it's a little bit too much for the laptop. Okay, I think that should be okay, an okay view for you. So we got our cookie pop. This one is just on the back a little bit, cooperated pretty good. So we're gonna gently take our cookie pop and we're going to just dip it like this. Just kind of glide it to make sure that it coats right up around the stick. I like to be nice and gentle because I have had cookies break in the thing like this. I also like to gently tap them a little bit with the side facing up that we're gonna be decorating. And then give it just a little gentle scrape right there. And then we're gonna pop it down. And the reason we like to scrape it, we don't wanna completely scrape off all of the candy melts that are, we don't wanna completely scrape off all the candy melts that are going to be on the bottom because we still wanna make sure that it's coated, but we want to make sure that when we set it down, if there's too much candy melts, it's gonna pull out and look kind of weird. So that's why we're scraping it off, just to give it a little bit of a cleaner look. And also, you're not gonna see the back of it, so oops. A little bit of cookie decided to get in here. Come here. Okay. And then just continuing with our melts. Nice and carefully. Just flip it over if you need to. Let me know if you guys have any questions at all about what I'm doing. I am happy to explain. I hope I'm doing a good enough job as it is, but if you have any questions, don't be nervous about asking questions. Feel free. Okay. Like I said, just gently a little scrape and set it on the parchment paper. Yeah, see, that's happened to me before. Now let's see if we can remedy it. Set you down on the parchment paper, and then again, these cookies, if you've been here since the beginning of the live stream today, you know these cookies have not wanted to cooperate. Okay, and this one is just not gonna cooperate any way, shape, or form. When it splits like that, you know it's just gonna completely fall apart. So we're just gonna stick you on parchment paper, and that's a fun little snack for later. Okay. Let's grab, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh, we still have 12. Okay. So hopefully no more break, but I do have more cookies if they do. So this one looks like it's nice and set. And very gently, because we want the least likelihood of breaking if possible. And then just a gentle tap to make that top nice and flat. And that was great. Just like that. See, it's still coated on the back. It's not as much, but again, we're going to be looking at the front. And I'd rather have it nice and clean around the sides than have it completely covered on the back side. And that's great. All right, we did 4. Let's do 2 more. Oh my goodness. Okay. We'll let this guy set. And leave him for anyone else. And I'm setting right there. Again, feel free if you have questions at all about what I'm doing. If you just joined live and you're like, what the heck is she doing on the page? We're doing candy or cookie pops. And we're using some, these are technically candy melts or melting wafers. Again, I use them because I found a flavor that I like. And also they're just really easier to use, I feel like overall. You can definitely use tempered chocolate. I have not successfully yet tempered chocolate, but I took a chocolate class type thing, virtual version, and I'm kind of excited to give it a try again. Let's make sure it's all coated. Let's do 1 more of these. And then we're also going to do our vanilla ones. Let's see. Because since it, oh, there's my pup. Hello. You want to say hi? You want to say hi? Oh, yes, you're my good girl. You don't get chocolate, though. That's a no-no. Okay, so we got our candy melts. If you can see it, it's kind of hard because the lighting is weird, but I can see it's still moving. It's still melted, but it could be warmed up a little bit to make it easier to coat. Okay. She's right there. She likes to lay in the kitchen with me sometimes. Okay. So we have the rest of our candy or our cookie pops. I keep wanting to say candy cookie pops. So we're going to coating with our candy melt. And okay, the consistency looks pretty good. Again, you want to make sure it's nice and melted so that it coats. It also is going to result in a thinner coating, so it's not going to be too thick. Because if it's too thick, it's not very oh my gosh. Oh, darn you, cookie. A little bit of candy melt to try and get you to stick. And gently press. All right. Hopefully that sets and it wants to cooperate. Let's check on this one. Looks good to go. And we have to be careful not to get cookie crumbs in this one because you're definitely gonna, oops, like I just did. You're definitely gonna see the cookie crumbs in here. So whenever I get some in, I just carefully remove them with a spoon. Or I mean, if you want to make it look like, if you want to make it look like a cookies and cream cookie pop, then there you go. There's your decoration already. But we're trying to keep this one clean. Okay. Same thing. Very gently coating it, turning it over. And scrape. See, scraping resulted in some chocolate on the side, so we got to remove that. Some of the dark chocolate melting wafers from repairing the cookie decided to melt. That's no problem. Okay. And we're just going to continue with our cookies. And gentle scrape down. Okay. And if you have little bubbles in your candy melts, then we can take a little, if this is a cake tester, if you can see it, it's a little stick. You can actually just go through and gently pop the bubbles. If you've ever done like cookie decorating, you definitely know about this for royal icing. 1 second, yes. Those are all caramel.
These are all caramel.
Caramel and cookie butter caramel. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome, bye.
Bye, everybody.
That was my mom saying bye. Okay. I almost forgot about our stencils. Let's do them with the white vanilla melting wafer covered ones. So I'm going to coat them and set the stencils. This guy's still trying to set by himself. I'm going to put the stencils right here. So I hope we can see them a little bit better. And then I'm going to do the same thing that I usually do. Some more chocolate got in here. And you can also just put this on the parchment paper and then just remelt it for a different project if you want to make sure that your chocolate stays nice and perfect, but you don't want to waste any stuff. Okay. Okay, so we're going to dip this one. Give it a gentle tap. I'm deciding to make this part my top section. And again, do a little bit of a scrape. But then this time, instead of popping it upside, right side up, we're gonna go upside down onto this star stencil. And we're gonna see what happens with that, because I had that idea, I think just last night, and I wanna see how it looks. So I'm kind of excited if this works out. And we're also gonna do another one with this one. Okay, I think this one should be set enough, let's hope. Oops, definitely not. This one just fell completely apart. Oh my gosh. But that happens sometimes. Like I said, with the broken Oreos, it's kind of a gamble if it's actually going to want to stay together. We can fix it, we can repair it, but ultimately sometimes they just don't want to stay together. And at that point, I'll just honestly give my taste testers pieces or just whatever. See, you're still setting. So we're gonna skip that for now, but we're gonna let these set. But while we're letting the rest of them set, hello, how you guys doing? I'm trying to check the chat at the same time, but my computer is at such like a weird angle, or this laptop is it just, it's kind of hard to see the chat sometimes, but I do try and check it ever so often. So again, if you have questions, if you want to say hi, whatever you want to do, to message me, get my attention in the chat. Let's see, I'm going to take some of our white vanilla wafers, and I'm going to grab my kitchen torch because I think that it started to set just a little bit. So this is a cool way, if you have a kitchen torch, I definitely recommend it if you like to do treats or even just regular cooking. I'm going to make sure that this one right here is nice and melted. So I'm going to hold the flame a little bit above it just to make sure. I don't want to burn it, so I don't want to get the flame too close to it, but I want to make sure that the top is nice and melted, because I'm going to grab a piping bag. I'm going to add a little bit of our white vanilla melted wafers to it. I needed some. And again, we got some chocolate mixed into this one, but it's no biggie. We can just use it for other projects or just have a swirly looking one, kind of a marble effect. Okay. We have our candy melts, and we're going to do a very, very tiny cut in the bottom. We don't want it too big, but we want to make it big enough where it's actually going to come through. Give it a little twist so it's easier to hold, and we're going to test to make sure it actually can come through. Yes, it comes through in a nice drizzle. That's what we're looking for. We do not want it too big, or else it's not going to look as good. Okay, so with this cookie, like I just did the melting of it, we're going to drizzle right over the top of it. Okay, so that's like a nice basic drizzle, but the reason we're doing this while it's still melted is we're going to take our stick and we're just going to drag it gently through, right along the top. We don't want to go too deep, or else it's going to kind of mess with the candy melts a little bit. Do another one. Try and keep it, nice and steady. Just like that. And I like to clean off the tip of the stick between each drag through the chocolate. And I like to go with the curve of the cookie. I think it just looks a little bit nicer. Now we're dragging in the opposite way between the lines that we just made. Go along the sides. Just like that. All right. And I'll lift it up later to show you what that looks like because it's still setting right now. But there's one of our cookie pops just done. Let's see. The rest of them look like they are still setting. So we're gonna give them a minute. I'm gonna put these candy melts and put them back in here. You can let them completely set and then pop them out that way as well. But sometimes I do it like this just to make sure that I can pop them back in the bag quicker. Oh, this cookie pop is set as well. So I'm going to coat that one and stick it on the other stencil. I think we could decorate the stencil a couple different ways. Takes a little while, but yeah, I just don't like to leave the candy melts in here to let them set, but you can. All right, so is it hot where you guys are today? It is hot this week here. It's been in the hundreds all week. It has not been fun. Okay. We just want that tip nice and clean. Let's set this to the side. And I'm gonna remelt these just a little bit. About 15 seconds or so. And like I said, we're letting the rest of these kind of set before we start working with them. But I do have multiple things to show you in terms of decoration. We've already done one of them, the kind of feather technique. Again, I'll hold that up close to the camera so you guys can see it later. Again, we're gonna gently coat this. And a gentle scrape. And then we're gonna flip it and decide if I want the direct center, kind of like off center. A little bit off center. Just see how these set. Okay. Okay. Set our candy melts to the side. And we got our stencil ones working. I think I'm gonna do one of them, probably the stars with the edible glitter. I'm gonna brush that. And I'm thinking the other one might be kind of fun to do, maybe some like rose gold or the red pearlized sugar. Either one of those might be kind of fun. Like I said, like the sugar sprinkles in general are my favorites to use just because I feel like it's like a chunky edible glitter. I don't know, I like it. Ooh, let's check on our letters because we could also get those taken care of while we're waiting for some of our other ones to set. So our letters and numbers are looking good. They're totally solid. It doesn't take that long to let them set, but we're gonna pop them out of our mold very carefully. I like to kind of gently pull the sides away and push up to pop them out. And these turned out really, really well. Sometimes with the letter or number molds, they can get a little bit like little kind of pockets that a little air bubble didn't release or something like that. And it just kind of ruins the look of it. But these ones look good so far. Carefully take this out. Okay. Yeah, see, like you probably can't see it on camera, but there's like a little divot right there. So let's check out what the other one looks like and pick our favorite. Come on. All right, this one turned out really well, but there's a little bit of a middle right there that decided to, okay, there. You can literally use, like, if it's thin enough, the heat of your finger to get the center out. And then you might just need to use like a little stick to kind of poke it away. There we go. Kind of clean it up a little bit. And I like that one. And then we're also going to do our K. Yeah, that one looks pretty good. Still a little divot, so let's check the other one. See if we like that one better. Yes, this one's perfect. So we have our letter and numbers. We're also popping these hearts out. These turned out pretty good too. We might use those for something. Just gonna set those aside for now. And again, whatever letters or numbers that you don't use when you make stuff like this and it gets in the other sections, you can literally just pop them out and remelt them or save them to use for another project. Okay. Set these aside. Okay. I know I've already mentioned it, but if you have questions or anything that you want to pop in the chat about what I'm doing, just let me know. Let's get a separate little piece of parchment paper out. Okay. So we have our 10K because we are celebrating 10K. Let's see. I think that I want to I want the cookie pop to be like over the top. So I think I'm going to end up doing maybe these rainbow sugar sprinkles. These are a little bit more subtle. So I don't think they're going to take away from these. But I think I want to do, should I do red? I like the pearlized ones. Debating if I want to do which color. I think the red might pop. I don't think the silver, I'm thinking the red. My gut says red, we're going to go red. So to add glitter or sugar sprinkles or whatever to letters like this. Oh, thank you so much. Yes, I'm so excited. 10K, I can't believe it. Just so excited. We're gonna take our kitchen torch, like I said, like really handy tool, got mine from Bed Bath & Beyond. And we're just gonna gently have the flame, like we did with this other cookie pop, if you were here for that, just kind of gently hover over. We're not pointing it directly at it. We just want the heat to just lightly melt the top of our numbers and letter. A little more. You don't want to keep it over for too long or else they will burn. And while they are still kind of melting, we're going to take our sprinkles and go right over the top. It's going to be kind of chunky, but it's all good. Make sure they're completely coated. All right. And then that's it. We're just going to let them completely set, and then we'll get back to these in a little while. Make sure you don't get sprinkles everywhere. That is the most annoying thing to clean up, is sprinkles that go everywhere. That's probably why working with like the non-Perel sprinkles, like those little teeny tiny ball sprinkles, I simultaneously love the way that they look, but if you've ever worked with them, you know how much of a pain it is when they start to go everywhere on the counter because something drops or spills. It's just, oh my gosh, it's a nightmare. Okay, we got our stuff over there, and you can see that some of these are starting to set just barely. So let's do some drizzle. That'll be a nice, easy thing. There's enough stuff in here to where I'm gonna get a new bowl of some other candy melts, and I'm just gonna use this for a different project to do some marbling or something like that. Okay, we're just like, yes, that is why I love using sugar sprinkles, because it does look like a nice chunky edible glitter. Let's see. So got our vanilla candy melts. You can see it. And we're gonna get another little bowl. We don't need a lot, because we're just doing some drizzle little accents here. And again, when it comes to cookie pops, I really don't measure. I just kind of like melt as I go, or kind of like the measure with your heart thing. That's essentially what I do with candy melts pretty much. Again, we're doing the 30 seconds, starting with 30 seconds and then doing 20 and 15, mixing every time in between. I'm going to use a different spoon. Make sure that one doesn't get dirty. All right, and so we're gonna do a nice, just basic drizzle. And also some drizzle adding some, I'm gonna add some of the rose gold sugar sprinkles. These are a little bit smaller, not as chunky as some of the other sugar sprinkles I have with me today. Okay, you can definitely tell they're not melted yet. And I'm gonna pop that back in for 20 seconds. Okay. And then we got our piping bag here, and you don't have to worry about the extra stuff that's stuck in there. The candy melts, when they're hot, it's gonna remelt what's in here. So that one is gonna be good to go. Okay. Checking on our progress here. And it's a little weird with the exposure. I have to figure out how to adjust that kind of stuff on my webcam here. But it's looking good, but there still are definite chunks of candy melt. So we're gonna pop that in for another 15 seconds and check it again. Okay. All right, and also we're gonna cover one just in a little bit of glitter. So I'm gonna get a little tiny thing bowl for that. A little tiny prep bowl thing here. And we're gonna just dump a little bit of, there we go. Not too much, we can always add more. We got some edible glitter, and we'll be covering one of our cookie pops. Okay, check in our candy melts again. They're looking pretty good. Yeah, nice and melted, exactly what we're looking for. We're gonna get our piping bag here. I like to fold it down just like that. Makes it easier for filling, adding some more candy melts to it. And again, we don't need a ton for the drizzle. Okay. And then I always like to squeeze a little bit out of the tip to make sure that it melts anything left behind from the previous little drizzle that we did. And also just make sure that it's working how I want it to and it's not clogged at all. And we're good to go. Okay. So we're going to do, let's do a partial drizzle with some sprinkles. So let's see, let's scoot this down a little bit. We're gonna do that right up here. And so you can go like halfway along the cookie. And then add a little bit of our rose gold. And it is getting on the base cookie itself, but when we lift it up, those should come off, it shouldn't stick. Just like that. And let's do, we're grabbing one of our brushes, one of our food brushes here, and this, before we add our drizzle, it's warm enough where it shouldn't cool down at all while we're doing this really quickly. But we're gonna brush this with edible glitter. I like this edible glitter so far because it does give a really nice shine, and this is actually my first time using it with cookie pops, and that gold is so cool. Looks like a gold medal. Let's put all around the sides. So cool. And then with that, if we want to leave it like it is, we can definitely do that. Always look at me. Oh, yes. Cookie pops are always a yummy choice. All right, and then we can, like I said, keep this plain, or we can add a little bit of a drizzle right across the top just to give another little dimension. Let's see. I think that was pretty much it with my drizzles that I wanted to do. We can set this off to this side for now. And let's cover another one of the cookie pops. That gold just looks really good. Like I said, it's my first time using it with cookie pops, and I'm very happy with how much this gold pops. Perfect. Okay. Let's set this aside for now. I'm not sure if we're gonna do any more glitter directly painted on like that. Cover up our rose gold sprinkles. Okay. Let's do, we still have our numbers and letter setting, so we're gonna skip that one for now. Okay, let's try, I think I'm gonna do this cookie pop. We're gonna remelt the surface, and we're going to add some of our rainbow sugar sprinkles. And I just realized I have not opened this one yet, so wait one sec. Okay. So just like we did with the numbers and letter, we're gonna gently remelt the surface of this one. From a distance, I'm actually gonna turn down the heat just a little bit. We just want to remelt the surface. If you get too close or if you hover in one spot for too long, it will start to burn it and you can see the color difference. All we're looking for is kind of glistening. You can tell it's remelted, just like it is. Now we're going to take our sprinkles and we're just going to completely cover. Oh, these are so fun. completely cover the cookie pot. You can always do extra, and then when you clean up later, just either, I usually put them into a separate little container. I think it's a habit from chemistry class. Once you take something out of a container, you don't put it back in that same container. Let's see. I think I want to check on these stencils, but I don't, no, they're not completely set yet. So we still gotta wait on the stencils. I'm very excited to see if those turn out, but we still have to wait, unfortunately. So what other kind of decorations do you guys want to see besides what I've already done here? We've done some drizzles, we've done some gold, we have sprinkles. We're going to be adding some numbers and letter to it. I think, ooh, this one looks like it has set now. I'm going to clean off the sides. This is that feather technique that I did a little while ago. And so you can see if you drag too close to the cookie, it gets a little separation right there, but it still looks good overall. It just gives it a really pretty pattern. And if you were there for that, you'll see how simple this technique is. It looks like it would be really complicated, but it's not at all. So I love that technique because of that reason. Okay. Like I said, pop in the chat if you guys want to see another type of decoration that you had an idea for that just came to you or anything like that. We still have our stencil ones that we're going to work with, and we still have 4 more to decorate. So we could do something with those. Let's see. I think I'm going to take one of these hearts and brush it with some edible glitter. Okay. And that's also another thing you can see is how much darker this is. This is a much lighter gold. You should be able to see compared to how deep this gold is right here. This is very brilliant compared to how light this one is. Ooh, how about a swirl? I like your thinking. Okay, let's do a swirl. Let's check my candy melts. I might have to remelt these, but let's see. Sometimes we can make it work. All right, these look like they're still good. A swirl can be a little bit hard to get perfect, but we're just gonna wing it right here. Let's see, do you want to do any kind of glitter with the swirl? I think this might be a little bit too chunky, but I have this blue, this pearlized blue. I also have this pearlized silver. But I'm kind of want to use these. These are a little bit smaller. I'm gonna do that one. Okay, let's do this cookie right here. Start in the center. We'll work our way around pretty quickly because it's easier to do a swirl quickly. That's not too shabby. And then immediately add our sprinkles before it has time to set. Okay, and once that sets, we'll be able to remove, should be able to remove all the sprinkles, all the excess. Okay. These guys are still almost set. Like desperately wanting to see if these turned out. Okay, let's set our piping bag aside again. But yeah, so you can see, just looking at the difference, it's like this gold is much deeper. So the chocolate that you use, or the candy melts that you use on the base of the cookie itself, if you add edible glitter or whatever you add, can definitely affect the final look of it, even if it's just using edible glitter, it can make a big difference. Okay. Kind of clean up my station a little bit here. But this is pretty much, you're looking at what it usually looks like for me. If I'm making a video for YouTube, I try to make it look a little bit better than this. But this is pretty accurate as to what typically goes on behind the scenes a little bit when I'm testing some stuff. Or if I'm making a video, again, if I'm making a shorts video, it looks really nice, but then all around it is like extra stuff, extra cookies that I'm kind of working on at the same time. Ooh, I think our letter and numbers are good to go. Back over here. Let's see. Nice chunky glitter. Okay, and then a lot of extra glitter, sugar sprinkle. I keep wanting to call it glitter because it basically seems like glitter. But our sugar sprinkles. There we go. And again, it's really easy to just put these into a separate little container. You can have them back into the regular sprinkle jar, but again, personally, I don't do that. Out of habit from when I was in college in chem class. That stuck definitely because of all the labs I had. Let's get my food tweezers out. And it makes it easier to hold the letters or the letter and numbers without melting them in your hands. See if this one's done. Oh, no, you're not set yet. Okay. So we're not quite ready to add those because I want to pick that up and like get any excess sprinkles off that are on top of it. But it's not set yet. So we're still gonna have to wait a little bit to check that one out. Any more requests? Let's see how this one turned out. I think you're done. Hey, look at that. That's a nice gold right there. See how the beauty YouTubers doing this? Yeah, the gold, I really love the way that turned out. Let's see, I think you're done. I'm gonna shake off and we can kind of just kind of clean it up. Or if you have like an extra food brush, you can use it to just gently brush away the extra sprinkles that aren't supposed to be there. Just to clean it up a little bit, just like that. So this is our, I'm gonna shake a little more. This is our little rose gold drizzle, half drizzle that we did earlier. You can do the drizzle in the middle of it. You can do it like I did right here where it's like half of the cookie on the top or something. I love drizzle because it's so easy and it always turns out really well. And you can do it in a variety of ways. And you know, it looks like you put so much effort into it, but it really was like the easiest thing ever. Okay, let's see, what designs do you want to do? Let's do another drizzle, but do a chunkier glitter this time, or a chunkier sugar sprinkle. I'm going to see what will happen if I coat this one. Nope. This one, okay, that one's still setting a little bit more, so we're going to hold off on that idea. Okay. And to set the cookie pops faster, you can add them to the fridge. When using candy melts or something like that, you do want to be careful though, because sometimes the temperature difference will make them crack, especially if you're doing like cookie pops. I love rose gold. I do too. I love those rose gold sprinkles. I was so happy to find those. I love that color. But yeah, sometimes if you're doing like cookie pops, they can actually crack because of the temperature difference between the inside of the cookie pop, because it needs to be nice and cold so it stays on the stick. But then when you're doing the candy melts, it's hot, obviously, because it needs to be hot to actually coat something. And the temperature difference, if you're not careful, I'm still trying to work out the kinks when I make them like that. But but for cookie pops, it usually doesn't have that issue. So you can pop them in the fridge to set a little bit faster. I'm not doing that at the moment because I don't think I have a sheet tray big enough for this section right now. Everything's pretty spread out, but let's see. There are a couple of them that just don't want to set just quite yet. Here's a little, it's got a broken one over there. So over here. These off to the side. Again, the cookies that did not want to cooperate at all today. Okay. Okay, no, not quite. That one's getting really, really close to being done, but I can tell it's still not quite there. Okay. So let's see. We did. Our candy melts are starting to set in the piping bag. Which we do not want. Let's do a little drizzle in the middle of this one. Again, for basic cookie pops, drizzle is my go-to just because it's so easy. Haven't used blue yet, so let's give the blue sparkling sugar some love. I actually really don't liking the combination of the blue pearlized and the silver pearlized. So you add a little bit of there. Okay. I did another one. We got two more. I think I'm gonna do one of them a kind of maybe a gold silver combination. Might be kind of fun. Let's see, we got one more of the chocolate ones. Ooh, polka dot. I love your ideas. Let me see. What's your name? Paisley. I love your ideas. I'm doing it. I'm doing polka dot. All right, but I don't think this is already starting to set up. It's not going to want to cooperate with me. So let's grab a food brush. This size should work. And we're going to remelt these, make it a little bit easier. Okay, we're going to do polka dot on this one. I'm saving this one for like a gold and silver combo if I can let those candy melts set and then remelt them. Or I could just show you what it's like to do drizzle with just a spoon. I prefer a piping bag just because I feel like it's a lot cleaner. It's a little bit easier, but we can try that way too. Nice and melty again. And let's pull this back just a little bit so you can see it easier. So we're going to take our food brush here. If you can see, it's not too big of a tip, but I think it's going to be big enough to add some candy melts. So this is another way that we can add candy melts to stuff is with food brushes. Just like this. Okay. Gonna add them in like a random-ish kind of pattern. And I'm someone that I always find myself kind of doing something kind of symmetrical, just because that's, I guess, how I naturally make something. I like some type of pattern or symmetry to stuff when I make it. But okay, and let's add some silver. And get those to set. And I'm adding a lot of sprinkles to everything, but I mean, they just make everything more fun. Okay, oops. There's some great sprinkles back here. All right, there we go. And we're gonna let that set before we touch it. And are you done? Okay, that one seems like it's done now. So we're gonna keep brushing this one with a little bit of our gold edible glitter. It still has a good color, but I just love the way that it pops with the chocolate compared to the vanilla melts. Sides all brushed. Okay, we got that all coated. And like I said, I usually use a piping bag, but these are gonna set soon. So let's remelt these just a little bit more. Then we're just gonna drizzle it with the spoon. So that's another option that you can do for drizzling. And we want these nice and warm because also it makes a nicer drizzle. Okay, so we're gonna carefully do it because I don't want to mess up this one. And I always start off of the cookie, like a little bit above or below it, and then do it like that. I do that because it basically helps make sure that I don't have like a big old blob that just spills onto whatever the project is, because sometimes that will happen when you first start it. We got some candy melts on our spoon, and then I'm going to start it off with there. It's a lot bigger, a lot chunkier, but that's just another way to decorate it. And for these ones, again, we're going with the silver, so some silver and gold action over here. And we always want to do more than what we need to make sure everything gets coated. And then when it sets, we can shake off all the excess. Clean up my little glitter spill over here. All right, we'll push this back so we can look more this way. Please be done. I want to see what the stencil looks like. Right, I think it's done enough to work with. I think it worked. I think it did. All right, let's brush this one with some edible gold. Just a little bit, don't need too much. And this is our star stencil. And this is just like a basic coffee stencil. I did a video with summer cupcakes and I used some of these in there. And they're very easy to do cupcakes and all that kind of stuff with, but I figured, hey, cookie pops might be kind of fun with them as well. I'm making it a little bit thicker. I want the gold to pop a little bit better. Okay, and I think before I do the stencil removal, I think I'm gonna pop that in the fridge. Yeah, and we're also gonna check on this one so we could pop them both in the fridge. When it's colder, it's gonna remove a lot better, I think. And there's our firework one. Which one do I use for this? I feel like, let's do red. Let's see what happens. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to gently remelt these candy melts just a little bit. And especially because there's the stencil right there, you definitely don't want to put the flame right above it. You don't want to hold it in one spot for too long or else it will burn. And especially because there's plastic right here with the stencil, definitely want to avoid that. But I just want to gently melt it to be able to get the sprinkles just to stick. And all I'm looking for is a little bit of a light. See, like I'm holding like a couple inches above it and it still is melting it. And basically what I'm looking for is so that it's a little bit like shiny, and then you know that the candy melts are not completely set anymore. Okay, it's still set in that spot. Again, I want to be very careful. I'm testing this out for the very first time, so I'm just gonna see what happens with it. Okay, I think that should be good. Looks all shiny. Immediately adding our red sprinkles. More than we need. And we grab a little sheet tray over here. And oh, there's a switcher. Draw this little piece of parchment paper from over here. Okay. We're going to pop our stencils on here. Pop those in either the fridge or freezer just to make sure they're completely set before we move the stencils. I'm going to do freezer just to make sure. Okay, so we're almost done with our cookie pops. So let's check on this guy. Hope you are set. I don't know, I can still feel that this one's a little bit soft. Okay, this one is taking a little while. It's gonna work. Let's check on our rose gold spiral. Carefully remove it. Let's see where our brush is. Okay, so we can try and brush away the stuff in between, but it seems like with the sugar sprinkles, sometimes they do stick quite a bit to the regular part itself. But I still think the spiral, if you can see it, hopefully. If not, I will be posting pictures of these later. But there's our spiral. Let's check on our polka dots, because those should be done. Again, dumping our sprinkles, giving a gentle little tappy tap. brushing away the excess. Maybe nice and gentle, just to make sure you don't take off any stuff that actually is supposed to stay on. Okay. I think the gas turned out pretty good. I think I would like them a little bit better if I grabbed a smaller sugar sprinkle. So I'll definitely have to grab my small sugar sprinkles for next time that I do this kind of thing. But I think it still looks pretty good. I like the suggestion from Paisley. Let's see what else we got. Oh, we got this one as well. Dump the excess. Brush away the extra. See, it looks really nice, and it's like the easiest thing ever, just to do a simple drizzle and 1 or 2 sprinkles. Super easy and looks really good. What else we got? Oh, you might. Oh no, you're definitely not set yet. Okay. We still have our drizzle with the gold and the silver over here. And again, this guy just does not want to set. Let's see if we can peel it off. Okay. Ooh. I love how sparkly and shiny and rainbow this is. It looks really good. Let's do, I think we can do our letter and numbers. To use, if I didn't have the sugar sprinkles, I would literally just do with the torch and then gently stick them on the top of there. But because it's coated in the sugar sprinkles, just because I want it to be like over the top, we are going to use a little bit of our candy melts as a way to glue it. Where did my tweezers go? There you are. Okay. And again, we're using food tweezers because I want to make sure that the heat from my hands does not melt the numbers and letters that we have. So I'm going to stick on the 0 first, right in the center. And to do that, grabbing with my food tweezers and just adding a little bit of candy melts to the sides, or the back of it, sorry. And then we're going to set this right in the center of our cookie pot. So we can kind of gently adjust it, give it a little press so it kind of, oh, I think it sank it a little bit, but that's cool too. Clean up if there's any candy melts along the sides that you don't want to see, and repeat the process. Oops, oops, ah. Okay, ooh, saved it. I thought I was going to completely fall head first into candy melts. Okay. Ooh, let's see. Okay, so here we have our candy melt coated on the back, and we're going to gently use your other hand to help guide it. And kind of gently press a little bit. Usually it's not going to sink in too much, but these candy melts are still soft on top from when I melted them down to add the sugar sprinkles. And again, you can just very carefully either remove some candy melts or add a little more sprinkles if there's any extra candy melts you can see. Like I'll add a little bit right there. Work with me. There we go. Okay. And finally got our K. I'm going to scrape off if there's a little bit too extra, just to make sure it doesn't stick out from the side. Perfect. Okay. And there we have our 10K cookie pop. I hope that you can see it. There is a lot of sugar sprinkles and a lot of glittery kind of look to it. I think it looks pretty fun, but definitely I'm kind of curious. I want to risk it. Let's see what. Let's see what happens. I'm curious if I add some edible glitter to the letter and numbers, that what will happen to it. Use you as a tester. I don't know how they're going to turn out. No, I think we're just going to leave it. All right, so we got our 10K cookie pop. And again, just set these aside and you can put them in a separate little container. You can also just take all of the sprinkles and then just do a fun little random mix that you can just decorate with cookie pops at some other point. Let's grab our stencils. We're almost done, guys. Okay. So to carefully remove the stencil. Ooh, I like it. Oh, okay, kind of see it a little bit. I think it looks really good, actually. I'm really happy with how the glitter turned out on this, or how the edible glitter turned out. I think it looks really good. Let's do our, shake off the excess there first. And let's see how this one turned out. I'm not sure if this is going to work with the chunkier glitter sugar sprinkles, but we'll see. Ooh, okay. Okay, unfortunately, it didn't work like I wanted it to. You can see the pattern of the firework though. I don't know if you can see it with this camera, but like I said, I'll post pictures of how everything turned out later. But this one, I think I would need to use a smaller sugar sprinkle to be able to get them to stick a little bit better. So maybe the rose gold would have worked better. But again, this is first time testing it out. I really like the way that the gold turned out right here with the edible glitter. So super happy with that one. Let's see if I can pop this one off. Still a little bit setting. Okay. And I might be able to clean it up a little bit more later, but there is our gold with silver sugar sprinkles and drizzle. Wait, question, can you store these? Yes, you can store these. The beautiful thing about cookie pops is that because they are they're Oreos, they're a shelf stable cookie. I keep these in like an airtight container, and I've had some in there for like a week, couple weeks, I think, before. Yeah, I basically line a some type of airtight container, like Tupperware or something like that, like a Rubbermaid, whatever kind of container, but then you line it with like some wax paper and then just set the cookies on there and make sure that you store them. You can store them at room temperature. Sometimes I've stored them in the fridge before, but the main thing is that if it's really hot outside, like for where I am this week, it's like over 100 degrees every day. So with that, I would be very careful about putting them on top of each other at all. I would maybe add wax paper and let me adjust the camera so I can extract it. So basically, the reason I would do that is because if it's too hot, these will get slightly soft at room temperature if it's very, very hot outside. If it's any other time of the year, or if your house isn't that hot, then you're good to go. And again, if you want to store them on top of each other, just put a layer of wax paper in between just to make sure that nothing gets stuck on the top of the bottom one. But aside from that, that's all we have for today. I hope that you guys like the cookie pops. Like I said, I'll post them probably either in a shorts video or a couple of community posts. I can also just post regular pictures as well. So yeah, but that's what we have for today with the cookie pops. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really appreciate, especially the feedback and the ideas. I love it. And I love that we were able to do a nice no bake thing because it's still so hot. Like I've said before, when it does get cooler, I'm definitely going to be doing some actual like baking bake along sessions where I can let you guys know like, hey, here's the recipe, bake along with me if you want to. But that's not going to happen until it definitely cools down because it is way too hot for anything like that right now. So, but I really hope that you guys like the cookie pops and that you liked this informative session. I hope that you found it informative at least. I had fun. Cookie pops are always just a really easy kind of a little bit of a stress relief sometimes, I guess, just because they're so easy that it's just like, oh yeah, let's just make some cookie pops. But yeah, I hope you guys have a really great weekend. Oh, thank you so much, Paisley. I know this is also to celebrate, like I mentioned earlier, the 10K mark that we hit this week for subscribers. Thank you guys so much again for that. It's so amazing. My mind is blown that we reached that spot already and made this cookie pop to celebrate it. So I'll post pictures of these later because like I said, the ring light is affecting how well you can see it right now. But thank you guys so much for being here. And I will definitely keep having lives every week. Let me know, well, I can't even talk anymore. Let me know what you guys want to see. I will have probably some more polls going up about that kind of stuff, but for at least the next couple weeks, for sure, it'll definitely be no bake themed items, just because it is too dang hot still. So yeah, look forward to those and your feedback. And again, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you later. Have a fabulous weekend. Bye.